A lot of people are like, I've never been to Richmond. You're like, and I'm like, but have you been to Charleston? Yeah. Oh, well, okay. I understand. Hey guys, this is Erin. If this is your first time to our channel and you want to learn all there is to know about living in Richmond, Virginia, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and click that little bell so you're notified every time we release a new video. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Living in Richmond, Virginia. I'm really excited about who we have today. It is Katarina West from Charleston. Katarina, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to talking about our cities.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I can definitely say that Charleston is one of my favorite places that I have ever visited, and I am so excited to learn more about it from from someone who lives there and sells there rather than just getting like the tourist version of things, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. It's my favorite city, and it's so cool living in a place where people vacation and have lots of memories here.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, so let's kind of start off with if you live in Charleston, or you live in Charleston, right?
Yeah.
And if you wanted to go to an amusement park, where would you go and how long would it take you to get there?
So Carowinds in North Carolina is usually where people go. It's actually on the border of North and South Carolina. So it's about 3 hours away, a little more than that, to get to the closest amusement park. What
Okay.
about Richmond? Do you have any nearby?
We are pretty lucky that way. Our closest one is definitely Kingston, which is actually, I think, Carowinds is that Paramount?
I believe so.
Okay. I think that they're like sister or partner, whatever they are. But Kingston, that's like, you know, 25, 30 minutes from anywhere in the Richmond area. So we're pretty lucky that way.
Yeah, that's super close.
Nice and close. And then if people want, are okay with a little bit further away, we have Busch Gardens that's down east, and that's about maybe an hour and 15 minutes from Richmond. So pretty lucky.
Yeah, that one's fun too. I've been to the Busch Gardens.
It is. It's the really pretty one. Most people like Kingston, and I wonder if Carowinds is kind of like that too. Is everyone's like, well, I love roller coasters, so I go to that one.
Yeah, that's funny.
Are you a roller coaster person or not
I
really?
do enjoy a good roller coaster, yeah. When I used to live in Charlotte, so we used to be, 30 minutes away, and we had season passes. It was fun.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense for sure. Okay. Um, how about you live in Charleston and you want to go to your favorite park? Where would you be going and about how long would it take you to get there?
Yeah, so there's a beautiful park downtown, it's one of my favorites called Hampton Park, and it's a ton of acres of beautiful gardens, a giant fountain, trails, and picnic tables. So that's a really fun one to go to. There are also parks scattered around the downtown Charleston Peninsula. So there's Battery Park, and you get to see a lot of history there, which is a really cool part about the area. What about Richmond?
Definitely. So we have some pretty notable parks for sure. I would say favorites would probably be Maymont is kind of the quintessential. If you ever make it up to Richmond, you have to go to Maymont. It's
Okay.
just a must. They have a petting zoo, like an old historic home that has a really cool gift shop, beautiful gardens which they light up during the holidays and what have you. And it's always like if you live in Richmond for any amount of time, kids are in Richmond, there's always going to be multiple field trips to Maymont. It's like the spot for sure.
That's awesome.
For sure. And then we do have a really pretty we have several of them like scattered around the city as well, and some that like overlook the James, and then some are very small. And then like we do have our very pretty botanical garden as well. That's you know, most people will say, if you're going to go to the park, those are the two they're probably going to be frequenting for sure. And about anywhere where you are in the Richmond area, I would say another thing, kind of 20 minutes or so, unless you live downtown, you might be walking to them. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a
Yeah,
nice thing too.
kind of the same here. That's awesome.
All right. If you were going to catch like your favorite performer at a concert, where would you be going to see them in Charleston and who would they be?
So we actually just have a new stadium, Credit One Stadium on Daniel
Ooh,
Island, so that's really
okay.
exciting. Yeah, if you live on the island, you can probably hear the concert, you might not even have to go to it,
Oh,
so that's fun. But they have a lot of country artists, so if you like country music, it's a good way to, get into the local scene. Um,
definitely.
there are also some smaller places like the Windjammer on Isle of Palms where they have more local bands, smaller cover bands, but it's on the beach, so it's always a fun venue to go to too. I personally don't really have a favorite artist at the moment. I like learning different types of music and getting
Okay.
to see different people. So it's fun having newer artists come in now that we have that better stadium.
That is really, really nice. And about how long would it take you to get to the new one that you're talking about from
Well,
places in Charleston?
yeah, so if you're not on Daniel Island, anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes probably.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
not bad.
not at all. Yeah. What
That's
about
not bad
Richmond?
at
Do
all.
you guys have a big stadium, concert one?
We do have a decent sized one, that is probably the biggest one downtown is probably gonna be the Dominion Energy Center. That's probably the biggest one. We have a lot of outdoor venues, which are nice, kind of from the, like, Memorial Day well, same as Charleston, that it's like, it just got cold this
Yeah.
week here. Other than
Yeah.
that, it's been, like, 70, 80 degrees. You're like, "Okay, it's November." But, like, we have, the Meadow Event Park has something there, and that's where they do the state fair, but I love all the ones that they have, like, my favorite ones are probably, like, downtown, like the National, the Broadberry, and, yeah, we have lots of great concerts there, so really, anywhere, 20 minutes or so, you could get to most things, and, but I definitely am, like, probably well, we'll talk about that later, anyone else. Alright, now I know for sure, next thing we're talking about, you guys are gonna have us beat Richmond doesn't hold a candle to Charleston when we talk about this, so, if you wanna go to the beach, and since you're local, um, I'm always curious to hear what the locals say, like, where they're going to the beach.
Mhm.
Where are you going to go, and how long is it gonna take you to get there from Charleston?
So my personal favorite beach is Folly Beach because I'm kind of a nerd and I like shark tooth hunting. So you can find shark
Oh.
teeth all around the beach. It's so fun. So after a good high tide, you go out there with flashlights. We've even gone out at night, and you'll find shark teeth. And some people find the big megalodon teeth that are like
Ooh,
that big. Normally, you find little ones, but it's
little
still
baby
fun
ones.
and something to do. And also, Folly Beach has a cute little strip of restaurants and ice cream shops, tourist shop kind of things. Isle of Palms is also a beautiful beach, and so is Sullivan's Island. So I guess it depends on what I'm closer to.
Mhm.
All of them are amazing, but Folly is usually about 30 minutes. I live in West Ashley, so it's only 25 to 30 minutes from me. You can be closer in West Ashley still, but that's about how far it is from me.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, like I said, you got us beat big time. Um Beach-wise, I'd probably say that, for us, the closest is definitely gonna be Virginia Beach, which a lot of people know,
Yeah.
and it's fun, it's got you've got the boardwalk. There's definitely the fun aspect, we sit there and go, Virginia Beach," if we're in Virginia, but it is fun. It really is fun. About an hour and 45 minutes from Richmond,
That's not
um,
bad.
so it's not bad at all. That is
Yeah.
a fun, like, every once in a while, go get a
Mhm.
room for a night or something like that and go hang out at Virginia Beach. You're like, "Okay," we'll pretend to be tourists.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say that probably when I'm like, "Hey, I wanna go to the beach," and I do this with a bunch of my ladies, friends and my mother-in-law actually once a year. We go down to Corolla, to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, so we come down closer to you. And for us there, it's about 3.5 hours to get to the Outer Banks depending on where you go. I just love the feel, and I love going down there and seeing all the wild ponies. I mean, that's, like, my jam,
Oh, yeah,
much
that's
more than being on the busy, like, boardwalk in Virginia Beach, I like
yeah.
the more chill and natural, with all the reeds and the little dunes and stuff like that. I love that,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
but I actually spent and how do you is it Folly or Foley? I always
Folly.
it is Folly, okay.
Mhm.
I actually spent a 4th of July there once,
Oh,
several
fun.
years back. That's when I went to Charleston with a friend, and that was, super, super fun, so I loved Folly. It
Yeah,
was
it's
so
a fun
cool.
place. Mhm, for
Really,
sure.
really fun place for sure. Okie dokie. Now, this is where we might flip the little scale, Charleston's sounding pretty amazing right now, particularly for those beachgoers. But let's say you wanted to go to the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go, and how long is it gonna take you to get there?
Yeah, that's the one drawback for Charleston. If you're a mountain person, there's not much hiking here.
Right.
You can do water activities, but not much elevation. So the closest mountain range, there is actually a mountain range in upper South Carolina, but most people instead go to the mountains of North Carolina, so the
Mhm.
Appalachian Mountains, and that's about 4 to 5 hours away, closer to
Okay.
the 5 hours away. So Boone and Asheville, it's,
Mm.
you could take a weekend trip there because it's kind of a drive. You don't wanna do it for a
Right,
night or something, but
right,
yeah, so it's not horrible. Definitely not as close as, I guess the Outer Banks to you, but,
right.
we have the beach here, like you said, so if you can still get
More
out
beachy.
that way.
More beachy for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Are you close to the mountains there?
We're actually not too bad. That is kind of the nice thing about Richmond is you are very central to all things. Well, I guess, it's, Central Virginia. Ooh, you're central to things. We are about, I would say, just shy of 2 hours from the mountains, straight out. So it's kinda like you go one direction on 64, you're in the mountains, and you go the other direction on 64, and you're at the beach. So it's kinda cool.
Yeah,
It's
that's
kinda
fun.
cool.
Yeah, you
So
get both.
I do like that. I like having both fairly close by, that it isn't like a big production. If you had to pick your absolute favorite spot, and we can talk about a couple different things, but your favorite spot to go to in the Charleston area, where would it be? And how long would it take you to get there?
My favorite spot, well, if we haven't already talked about the beaches enough, I love going to the beach with my dog. He's a retired greyhound, so he loves to run on the beach.
Oh.
So that's one of our favorite things to do. Like I said, it's about 20 to 30 minutes away. Another thing I really enjoy doing is going to downtown Charleston. I love
Mhm,
seeing the huge, tall, pretty buildings that were all constructed in the 1700s even. It's just so cool to me that you can walk the same streets that people were walking when America was well, before it was even founded officially. So that's really cool to me, and seeing all the history alongside the nature with the water and the
mhm.
trees.
Absolutely beautiful. It is a beautiful city. I mean, gorgeous. My gosh, that is a hard one to top there. A real hard one to top. What would I say is one of my favorite things to do or places to go in Richmond? There's a couple. All right, this is gonna sound kinda weird, and I didn't do it for a long time, but I mean to go back because it was just so cool, since you kinda touched on the history and what have you. There is a famous cemetery that is in Richmond, it's called Hollywood Cemetery, and, it actually has been featured, like, in I think, like, a lot of movies, definitely lots of books have talked about it and all, and if you talk about the history, there is so much history in there, so many, famous people from that have been influenced the United States and all that. It's a big giant cemetery, and actually the how you get into it is somewhat unassuming. Like you're like, oh, this is the thing everyone's been talking to. But once you kind of get in, you're like, okay, I understand why people talk about it. It's just wines all over the place. They've got several different spots and just beautiful, beautiful vista looking over top of the James River and really getting to see all the rocks and the topography of things. So you guys are very flat, you
Mhm.
know. We definitely have some more hills where we're at. So I love being able to just kind of look over the entire city and look down in the river and
Yeah, that's
nature
so
and just lots of history and the same thing, just kind of standing somewhere and going like, gosh, there were people at other times coming right in here doing kind of the same thing and just
yeah,
thinking
that's
about
really
that
cool.
interest and all. It's very
Up
neat.
up there, I'm gonna have to check that out for sure.
It's a pretty cool place, and usually I'm not like, "Ooh, I wanna go hang out at a cemetery," but it was very beautiful. It was very beautiful. Trying to think of anywhere other places that are being, I love the water as well. I don't know, there is a really, really pretty spot also that is out kinda more in the country that I love, that is called the Lola's, Farmhouse Bistro, and it's in an old I think it was like a bed and breakfast or what have you, and they just have the cutest little setup of chairs all outside. Actually very Charleston, just like on, like, the country version of it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And, just the yummiest food, then they have, like, they have animals all in the background, so you'll hear the peacocks going and the chickens going in the back and, like, the pigs and all that stuff, you know. So it's a really fun little spot just to hang out and be out in nature, but also just enjoy the prettiness and all the trees and that Richmond has to offer. So that's
Yeah,
another
that's
one of my
cool.
favorite.
And you
Yeah.
can just go there for a dinner? It's like a
Yep.
restaurant?
They have a dinner and then they'll do like a lunch. And so obviously when it's nice outside, they have outdoor seating, but even but
Mhm.
during the cooler months, they have like the little rooms, just like you do it like if you'd go to an inn or something that they have little tables just kind of set up throughout the different rooms and all and
Yeah.
just kind of neat, you know, kind of
Yes.
neat. I definitely am more of a like even when it's hot outside, I want to sit outside. I'm like a I
Me
think
too.
I was born in a barn, you know, someone, "Were you born in a barn?" You know, it's why you leave all the doors open, you're outside. Yes, I was born in a barn, so
That's
for
awesome.
sure. And then for like that, I would say for, you know, Hollywood Cemetery, depending on where in your Richmond area, you know, 20 minutes, maybe less if you live downtown. Lola's is definitely just a smidge out there in the country. I'd say from downtown Richmond, you know, it's going to take you at least maybe 30 minutes to get out there. Not too bad, but just a little bit further out, just
Mhm.
outside of like the hustle and bustle sort of
Yeah,
thing. So,
makes sense.
it is, that is nice. How about like a favorite neighborhood in your MLS area? Do you have a favorite spot that you or area that you like to go to and why?
Well, it's hard to beat Isle of Palms, all the huge houses along the water. It's not necessarily a neighborhood per se, but there is Wild Dunes, which is a resort community kind of at the end of
Mm.
Isle of Palms. So
Mhm.
that's really fun to visit because you feel like you're in Florida. It's like you go into the gates and all of a sudden it's like you're in this tropical oasis with all these
Wow.
beautiful houses. So there are some on the water, and then there are kind of some condo complexes and a hotel. And they have pools and a lot of activities for families. So that's a really fun place to be able to show homes and drive around in. They have all sorts of, sporting events, a golf course, and just something for everyone there. So that's probably one of the most fun neighborhoods to check out.
That's that's very, very cool. Um, and from where you are in the Charleston area, like how long would it take you to get there?
It kind of varies because it's kind of Charleston's gotten a lot bigger recently. Um,
Gotcha.
in If you're in Mount Pleasant, it's only like probably 20 minutes away. If you're on West Ashley or up in Somerville, it could be maybe 40.
Okay. So not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Oh, neighborhood wise. I mean, there are a lot of really, really great ones. I'm kind of a sucker for the older neighborhoods. I love the older architecture, or as my husband says, he goes, Erin, you like old homes that have been renovated, but they kept the old cool feel, but it really is completely, you know, renovated. And I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yes, just keep the crystal doorknobs. Don't mess
Mhm.
up the arches. Keep the floors out, you know, and the pretty, you know, banisters and what have you, and we're good. We have several calls from people just like you moving to the Richmond area that want to work with our team. If this is you, we would love to be the real estate team that you choose. Our contact info is right down in the description. But there is Westover Hills is probably my favorite neighborhood. And I love that you can get to it from other areas, but the coolest way to get there for sure is there's a bridge that actually comes across right from Maymont Park that comes across from the city. So it's technically like south of the James, whereas Maymont's like on the north side. But it goes across this little bridge and then just goes into this neat little neighborhood. And I love how it's just like kind of rolls the hills, pony pastures right there. So you can be right down by the river in a park, like right away. But you feel like you're like going into your own little world, but you literally have everything you need on Forest Hill Avenue right outside your door. And I just love the architecture of these homes. They are just, it's like you'll see like the Tudor, and some are, they're really not that big, but just beautifully, beautifully taken care. I love the neighborhood. Love it.
Yeah,
My
that
favorite.
sounds really neat.
My favorite. It's I don't know. That's probably why I like Charleston so much is I love the old houses and just it's so neat to see what people do with them over the years
Oh,
to
for sure.
modernize them, but keep them old
Yes.
at the same time. You
Oh,
know what
I
I mean?
I agree. I love when they keep the old fireplaces. They don't really function anymore, but it
Doesn't
looks
matter.
cool.
They're
And
so
then, yeah,
beautiful.
even how they renovate, like, the 3rd floors that it used to be the attics, and they have these huge wooden beams at the top, but they turn them into rooms. So, yeah, it's so cool.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Everyone's like, no, I want to be in the burbs. No, 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 you want to go see these. Let me
Yeah.
just show you. This is nothing what I want to do. Oh, I know. They're just pretty. Aren't they pretty? Yeah. Okay, we'll go back to the burbs. Um, I know one thing that I think is just so cool about Charleston. I'd love it if they do it here in Richmond, in the downtown areas, is um, I've always wondered all the lamps that they have outside of the houses. Are they really gas or is
Yeah.
it just are they?
Yeah, so, a lot of people love the gas lanterns. It just gives it a really beautiful, historic, old look. I mean, some people do have electric lanterns, and even the newer construction houses in the suburbs have that style where they have lamps out there, but like my dad, he was like, "We have to have a gas lantern because 'cause we're in Charleston," so they took out
Yes.
the electric one and put up a gas one. So, yeah,
Gotcha.
most of the time it is real gas, and it's
That's
beautiful.
really neat.
Yeah, it's cool.
I wondered, I was like, are they the light bulbs? Are they doing something? I'm like, that looks awfully real.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say most of them, especially downtown, are probably real, but then you can find a mixture.
Gotcha. Gotcha. We know who the phonies are. We're gonna go find them, right? So
Yeah.
all right. So now that we're kind of been talking about neighborhoods a little bit, let's talk a little bit about for kind of average prices and price ranges for your area. What would you say when people are talking about coming to the area? What would you tell them about that?
Yeah, so right now our median sales price for the Tri-County area is 400,000.
Mhm.
But I like to warn people you'll probably be spending a little more than that because that includes condos. So condos and townhomes, the median sales price for those is in the lower 300s. Or
Mhm.
for single family homes, it's in the upper 400s, so it kind of balances out. And then depending on where you want to be in the area, you can save some money and be farther from the beaches and buy a house for closer to that 400,000 range. If you want to be really close to the beach or downtown, you'll have to spend a little more. So you can easily spend, I don't know, up to 800,000 for a decent
Mhm.
house. But you can find something in different ranges. If you're open to condos, you can find something more affordably.
Yep, for sure. So not actually too far off. I would say our average for same thing as like everyone, they say just like we say Charleston, I'm sure it's like, okay, that includes this county, this county, this county. We're kind of
Yeah.
the same,
Mhm.
you have the downtown Richmond, but really the Richmond area is several different counties that are surrounding.
Mhm.
So our average sales price right now, an average price would be about 450, which is up considerably from how it was. Even just last year, our average was at about 388. So we've come up quite a bit
Yeah.
over the past few years. So it will be good to see kind of things level out a little bit. But
Mhm.
same thing. There's a lot of affordable housing to be had. You will pay a premium for things to be in the city for sure. You'll pay a premium, just like I'm sure you guys is like to be, Alabama. You're gonna pay a premium for that. Same as like if you want to be in certain parts of the near West End or the West End or certain parts of Midlothian, you're going to pay a premium. And of course, anytime you're on the water,
Oh, yeah.
you're always going to spend more on the water. Always,
Exactly. Yeah.
always, always for sure. How about if you live in Charleston? Where would you say most people are commuting, and what kind of commute time would they be experiencing if they were going to those places?
Yeah, so we have a lot of industry in downtown Charleston itself with healthcare specifically. We have
Mm,
big, large hospitals, so one of them being the Medical University of South Carolina. So there are a lot of people that commute there. Some people live downtown, but other people live in the surrounding areas like Mount Pleasant, James Island, West Ashley. And the commute for those places would be about 20 minutes if you want to be kind of on the closer side. And then another big employment sector is the Joint Base Charleston. So there's a lot of military there, and that's located in North Charleston. So you'll have a lot of people commuting there too. So if you're here for that, you'll probably be closer to Somerville, Goose Creek, Ladson, which are also about 20 to 30 minutes away. You can find
okay.
things closer in North Charleston too. But yeah, those are just a couple of the bigger job industries that people would commute for.
Gotcha. How is the traffic for most people? Do you have like if you are going to certain spots or people come and go, "Hey, I need to get to the base and I need to get there within this amount of time." Are there things that you're like, "Okay, we definitely want to put you here or on this side of a bridge so you're not having to worry about that," or do you really have that problem in Charleston?
Unfortunately, it has become a very big problem. A lot of people that move here say, I had no idea it was going to be so bad, but that's because so many people are moving here and we only have so many bridges. If, if an accident happens, for example, it takes up a lane, that'll make traffic really bad. So, yeah, traffic has gotten really bad. To avoid it, yes, I keep commute times in check just to make sure you're not having to go across. 526 is one of the really bad ones where it gets delayed even if there aren't accidents or anything. So yeah, you want to make sure that if a commute is important to you, you don't want to get stuck in traffic. We find you somewhere closer to your job or
Yeah.
somewhere where you can take alternative routes versus the bridges.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Um, Richmond, I feel like we've been pretty fortunate. I don't know if it was intentional or not. There definitely are a good number of people that are moving here. Um, I don't really know how it stacks up in comparison to Charleston, like for the areas or the counties.
Mhm.
You know, different populations or how large they are or what have you. I would say a good number of people for industry will definitely be commuting into the city. Um, we have the financial district, and it's federal financial district that a lot of people come there for that. Um, Same that we have a pretty substantial teaching college, medical college with VCU, MCV, into the downtown. I'd say those are probably the biggest ones. We do have some military presence. It's more south of James, further down, more like Fort Lee, and then there's the Defense Supply something rather. It's not as Fort Lee. Everyone military will be there. They'll be
Mhm.
probably a little bit further south. Most of those people are going to live more like Chester, Colonial Heights, Petersburg, and all to stay closer to that. Um, and then we have Amazon. Those are kind of, and I feel like we have a lot of remote workers in Richmond. That's definitely a big thing there. But traffic, actually, we're pretty fortunate. There are multiple ways to get everywhere, and we don't have. We, I mean, we have the river, but we don't really have bridges. We do have bridges, but not to the degree of Charleston or even like Hampton Road. Same thing that it's like this is the only way to get in and out. Nah, there's
Mhm.
multiple ways. So that makes it nice. I'd say most people, for the most part, enjoy a very easy commute, even if they're going to the city from the counties. You know, you could be way out at the very south part of Chesterfield, and I think you could get into the city in about 30 minutes max, and probably aren't going to hit any traffic either. So we're pretty lucky that way. Really anywhere you are, if you're a little bit closer in, I'd say you can get it to the major areas, 20, 25 minutes. We might snarl a little bit at regular traffic times on certain way, and holidays out by Short Pump, you might want to avoid it on a Friday night. Maybe
Yeah.
come in one of the back ways rather than trying to get off 64 or something. But
Mhm.
we're pretty lucky that the traffic isn't bad. And commuting is pretty easy in here, so that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
But of course, a lot of people are like, I've never been to Richmond. You're like, and I'm like, but have you been to Charleston? Yeah. Oh well, okay, I understand. All right, let's talk a little bit about property taxes for your most popular areas. What would you say? Where are your places for property taxes? Tell me a little bit about that, the different counties and city and all that stuff.
Yeah, so there's actually an interesting rule with South Carolina. A
Mm,
lot of people have second homes here, so South Carolina automatically wants to assess you at the higher non-primary residence rate, which is assessed at a 6% rate. It's not 6% of the purchase price. So basically, if you calculate it, it's about like 1.5 or 1.6% of the price. But they have calculators online that I always search for people and see
sure.
what's a more accurate number.
Right.
And then if you live here, if it's your primary residence, you have to prove it, but you can lower that down to 4%, and it's actually gonna make your taxes 1/3 of the bill as the, non-primary residence rate. So you
Huh.
can save a lot of money, and if it is your primary residence, taxes are really low here compared to other states, so it's basically like 0.5% of the price as just a very broad number. Every county is different, and that's why I always recommend the calculators because
Yes.
they each have their different fees and breakdowns and how they assess it. But in general, that's a loose rule to follow, and it should give you an accurate kind of number.
Very interesting. Very
Yeah,
interesting. Very different than us.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird, but how do they do it up there?
The max amount that they can get, they are taking it from you. So,
Right.
no, it makes sense I've always wondered, besides they're so lovely, these cities, I'm like, "Why does everyone go there?" And I'm starting to figure out why. Usually there's a tax break. It doesn't do that
Mhm,
taxes sort of thing. So, really in our area, I would say on average, they're probably more at kind of about the, 80%, kind of your value to what your assessment is, and so it's pretty high.
mhm,
Um, I feel like you can get pretty good bang for your buck around here, but, in the city, you're at like a dollar what are we city-wise again? You're at $1.20 per every $100 assessed for downtown Richmond, and then
okay,
the outlying counties are between like 83 to 90 something cents per every $100 assessed, but I'd say value to assessment probably at about 80%, so it's enough. It's
mhm.
not horrible, but this sounds like a nice, system you guys got there. Alright. Everyone's moving to South Carolina because 'cause they're like, "Woohoo, I hate taxes." So,
Yeah, no kidding.
who likes taxes sort of thing. Alright.
Mhm,
Alright, let's do a little contest, Katarina.
okay,
Let's do this, okay? I want you to go into your MLS, and I want you to find your favorite listing in the Charleston area that's between 500 and 550,000,
okay,
and tell us about it.
okay. Well, I will do my little search. Alright, should I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this home at 121 C Cotton Circle, first of all, I love the name, that's so cute. C
It is so cute.
Cotton. So this home I love because it's only 10 minutes away from Folly Beach, so that's basically nothing. It's in Seaside Plantation, which is a desirable neighborhood on James Island. It has 0.21 acres, which is about average for what you'll find here, but it's a big yard in the back, which is nice. About 1,800 square feet, and I love that it's renovated and has vaulted ceilings. I feel like that always makes it seem a lot bigger. So
Yes.
a lot of the rooms have vaulted ceilings. You have a two-car garage, a nice patio on the back, and the kitchen is renovated as well. So yeah, I think it's just a really cute house, and it serves its purpose. It's 4 beds, 2 baths. And, yeah, I just think it's a nice house
A
and a great
nice
location.
representation of what you can get. And how much is
Yeah.
that one?
So that one's 535. It's
Okay.
still for sale, so it's not under contract yet. One more thing is it actually has a private neighborhood boat ramp too. So that's another thing that's really hard to find is a neighborhood boat ramp, and if you can find one, jump on it because that can save you a lot of money if you have a boat.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. For sure. And the water in Charleston, is it like for the different would it be completely, seawater or would it be brackish?
I'd say the rivers are brackish.
Okay.
If you're that close to Folly, it's gonna be more all saltwater, but
Okay.
I guess technically it's still brackish.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So keeping if you can get in through the boat ramp, that's great, but if you can keep your boat out of that water, we all know that the barnacles will just eat at the bottom of your boat and
Mhm.
all those stuff.
Yeah, and this is just a ramp, so you can't store your boat there. I just have to
Good.
clarify, but you can at least, maybe
Get
have
in.
try and yeah, get in.
Right, right. You don't have to be like, "We
Not the
got the
pipe
boat,
top.
now how do we get it in?" I
Yeah.
got it. Well, that sounds dreamy.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for, I love it about these videos because I get to see all the amazing, pictures and all that too. Does this
Yeah.
have some of your amazing live oaks or anything like that, or not so much?
This one, it has some crepe myrtles in the front. I don't think it has I have to look some palm trees nearby, but I don't see any big oak trees.
But you get some palm trees, that's pretty cool,
Yeah.
for sure. Alright. Well, no palm trees at mine, that's for sure, unless they have planted them and they look ridiculous in Richmond. Ridiculous.
That's
But, um 2842 Rams Crossing. It's in a really pretty neighborhood, Bexley East in Chesterfield, which is south of the James. This one's at 525, and I think it definitely personifies what you can find a lot of in the Richmond, which is very colonial. I love it that it's one that you've got. You're going to see that you actually have a basement. which you probably don't have a lot of basements by you, just
Nope.
guessing.
Yeah, nope.
It's and this one actually has a garage, and I think in this price point, it's not a given in Richmond that you're gonna have a garage, but it's nice to have a basement and a garage. They
Yeah.
really renovated this one super nicely, so you have the beautiful colonial on the outside. It's built in '93, just shy of 3,000 square feet and 3 excuse me, 4 bedrooms and 3.5 baths. Um, and I just love how they've renovated the kitchen. The primary bathroom is to die for, but they still have kept the pretty higher ceilings with the beautiful dental molding and just really, really nicely decorated. Nice big backyard. A pretty nice colonial house, a good representation of Richmond.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
Okay. Now this is going to be always the fun stuff. All right, Katarina, go ahead and pull up your favorite most expensive or high-end luxury executive home in the Charleston area and tell us all about it.
All right. Well, first of all, it's very hard to decide between the beautiful historic mansions and the beachfront properties. I
Okay.
decided, since we talked about the beaches already so much, to go with the historic home. And
Okay.
it's one of the most expensive ones. It's on East Bay Street, which is the same street as Rainbow Row. So you could be neighbors
Oh,
to
okay.
Rainbow Row. It's a beautiful 7,000 square foot house. The address is 47 East Bay Street. So it's in South of Broad, which is one of the most beautiful neighborhoods downtown. So it's actually called the Anne Boone House, and you can learn more about the history if you're into that too. But
Yes.
it was built in 1740, so that's one of the oldest
Oh,
houses I've seen in the area, and it actually has a big lot for downtown at 0.26 of an acre. So it even has a pool, and what I love about it is you can just walk down the street to some of the best dining on the Southeast. So you're right in the hub of gourmet foods, and it's just a beautiful home. It's renovated, but it has those older features to it where you feel like you're just in a different time period.
oh, for sure. And how much is this quaint little
All
home
right.
in the primo spot in Charleston?
Yes, so it'll cost you a pretty penny. It is $8.6 million. So it's up there. And don't get me wrong, you can find some beautiful historic homes downtown for like 2 million or 2.5 million too.
Right.
But this one, for going at the max,
You're
then
going big.
let's show off this one. Yeah.
And is this particular I know we'll get to look through all the pictures. Is it detached? Is it attached? Is it a certain number of stories or anything like that, or
It's detached, so it's on its own lot, but yeah, they kept a lot of the older features, like I said, so you'll see, like, a mix of modern and historic. And then the kitchen's beautiful too, but yeah,
dreamy? Dreamy. I cannot wait to see it.
I
All
can't wait
right.
to see you. Now I gotta see yours.
Oh, no, yeah, yes, definitely. So this is a very pretty home as well, and older, definitely nowhere near as old. And I think that's the big thing is they're older homes in Richmond, but nothing I don't think we have anything as old as they do in Charleston. Definitely further on. So this one is at 6311 Three Chop Road, and it's downtown Richmond, but it's more towards like what I would call the near West End, so it like is just bordering right on Henrico, which is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful area. It's my favorite spot for sure. This one is at 4.25,
Okay.
so it's a bargain.
There you
It
go.
was built in 1910, so a nearly brand new house in comparison. Um, Not too far off actually square footage, very 7460, so very similar. 5 bathrooms, full bathrooms, and 2 full half bathrooms, and 7 bedrooms. This is another one that it maintains it has beautiful lead in. For one, I'm sure like yours that it has this like it just has this look on the outside that you're like,
Mhm.
oh, I've arrived.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think how big the lot was. Actually, it's a big lot. And that's kind of the nice part about this little area is you're in everything. You can walk to all the cute little shops and restaurants and all, and you're very close to the city. This is actually over 2 acres.
Oh,
So you've
wow.
got some really nice privacy.
Yeah.
Um, just absolutely beautiful that they have maintained the beauty of the early era, but have renovated the kitchen. the bathrooms, the backyard is to die for. Everything is just absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I love this home, and so if someone wants to have their, their southern place, they can come down and have their secondary home right down there, or maybe for tax, maybe they want to do their primary home down in South Carolina,
Yeah.
and they'll have their secondary home up in Virginia, for half the price, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Why
There you
not both?
go. There you go. Oh, and only $27,000 in taxes per year. I mean, that's it. It's a bargain.
Yeah,
It's a
can't beat
bargain
that.
for sure. Oh my gosh. Absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to see the pictures of yours. That is going to be
Oh, of
absolutely
course.
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So I think maybe before we wrap up for the day, maybe talk to us a little bit about what you love about your city most. What do you think is like the quintessential Charleston that everyone talks about?
Yeah, I think it's that mix, like we were talking about, the mix of history and nature with
Mhm,
the water and the beaches and all
mhm.
that. Yeah, there's just nothing like being able to walk those cobblestone streets and then seeing the palm trees and the low country life. People say it's slower down here. You get to stroll around and see lots of beautiful things. These oak trees that are hundreds of years old. Just yeah, I feel like that the oak trees downtown overlooking the battery, the water is just beautiful.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I think that for Richmond, for people, it is, I guess, for a lot of people that are coming from bigger cities or even moving from like up north or even from down south, it really is that it's the mid-Atlantic. It's the nice in between spot that it's really not extreme one way or another, but you get your four seasons and you get to have kind of a mix of all the things. If you like the water, you maybe not the beach, you've got the water. If you like to have a little bit of roll in the land, it will do that for you, and that you really do have all of the things that you need very close by, super easy to get in and out of airport-wise, it's just an absolute breeze, and that you can be in DC within less than 2 hours, you can be to the beach within less than 2 hours, and you can be in the mountains, in less than 2 hours, and I think that that really draws people to, the area and keeps them here. So
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds beautiful.
that sounds lovely. Well, Katarina, thank you so much for joining us. And I know everyone has enjoyed having you and hearing all about your amazing city. And we all want to go down there again. So, but
Thank you
maybe
so
I'll
much,
come to
Erin.
Richmond a little bit too.
Yes,
Come
no,
visit
I
us.
definitely love to visit. It sounds beautiful. And thanks for sharing about your city.
That is awesome. And thanks everyone for joining us again for another City versus City on living in Richmond, Virginia. And remember, leave everything better. Once again, if this is your first time to our channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living in Richmond, Virginia, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and click that little bell so you're notified every time we release a new video.